My name is Teacher Tom and this is 22 things that Brits love. Meal deals. British food isn't one of the world's great cuisines. Fair enough, I get that. And all our best food is beige. Crisps, sandwiches, sausage rolls. But one thing we love is a lunchtime meal deal. Beige food at a cheap price. Come on, that's the British dream. Go to any supermarket and you can get a main, a snack and a drink for under a fiver. Most office workers in the UK are fueled by a sandwich, a packet of crisps and a fizzy drink. This isn't gourmet stuff, but we love it and you might learn to love it too. By the way, if you're new here, I'm Teacher Tom and I teach fresh, modern British English and culture to people around the world interested in this crazy little island nation of ours. I've got a whole bunch of free resources that you might like. There's a free pronunciation masterclass video, a digital book all about British slang, and one about business English as well. Plus, I have a weekly newsletter keeping you up to date with all the latest news and trends happening in the UK that week. All the links that you need are in the description below. Queuing. Queuing is a national sport over here. If it was an Olympic event, we'd win gold, silver, and bronze. Sometimes we don't even know what we're queuing for. Look, it's bonkers. It is bonkers. Occasionally, I like to just join a queue just to see where it goes. I think it speaks to the British love of order and fairness, and there is nothing that angers a Brit more than a queue jumper. Queue jumpers are the worst. We even have invisible queues. Wait, what? How does that work? I'll tell you more about that when we discuss Britain's love of a pub. Number 3, Sir David Attenborough. He is a national treasure. He's the nation's grandfather, having been the voice and the face of the BBC's natural history programming for 50 years or more. Generations of Brits have learnt all about the natural world through his shows like Planet Earth, Blue Planet, and so many others. And he continues to raise awareness about climate and environmental issues even into his late 90s. I'll tell you this, at least once a week, I make sure that I express a little gratitude to the universe that we still have him in our lives. Number 4, talking about the weather. You knew this one already, didn't you? Now, I know lots of cultures do, but for us, there are 2 main reasons. Firstly, we use it as a conversational crutch to lean on when chatting to people, whether we know them or they're strangers. It's an easy way to make conversation with someone. You make an observation about the weather and you've avoided that awkward silence that nobody wants, right? Secondly, the weather in the UK is madness. Honestly, it's madness. It's constantly changing and keeping you on your toes. 1 minute it's raining cats and dogs. The next minute it's sunshine and rainbows. So it's a constant source of surprise and interest for us. Now, one thing it isn't is predictable, and that keeps us entertained. Number 5, odd flavoured crisps. Now, crisps are very dear to my heart. I bloody love them. I could, and probably should, have a whole YouTube channel dedicated to discussing crisps. It's a good idea, actually. So I feel well positioned to admit that yes, we Brits do love some ridiculous flavours. Take prawn cocktail, a popular seafood starter from the 1970s. It's one of our favourite flavours. It comes in a pink bag, tastes delicious. You've got to try it. What about salt and vinegar? It's an absolute classic, as is cheese and onion. How are these sounding to you? All right, yeah, weird, I know, all right. What about crispy bacon, pickled onion, or haggis and cracked black pepper? That one's just in Scotland. And do you know what? That's not including the Christmas specials that we have, like pigs in blankets, turkey and stuffing. Yeah, I could go on. We like them weird and wonderful. And I'd like to give a special shout out to barbecue beef hula hoops, a true British classic. Sporting rivalries. The UK is a sports crazy nation. Football is top dog, but we also love rugby, cricket, tennis, darts, boxing. I could go on. Now, I think the thing that draws people to sport is the rivalries that have developed over time. We love a good sporting narrative, like the underdog versus the established star. or the redemption of a fallen hero. Now, what are the biggest sporting rivalries in the UK? Well, in football, there's no bigger derby than the Old Firm derby between Celtic and Rangers, the two huge Glasgow football teams. In England, there are lots of derbies, but I would say the biggest one is probably Liverpool versus Manchester United. But every city or region has its own version. So you've got like Newcastle and Sunderland, or Cardiff and Swansea, etc. In terms of international games, when Scotland and England play, it's always a bit spicy. And for England, games against Germany have that little added meaning. In rugby, we have the Six Nations tournament, which is England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, France, and Italy. And they all play each other. Now, each game has a special status, but again, I think that England-Scotland match is a big one. In cricketing terms, there is no bigger game than England versus Australia in the Ashes. And invariably, Australia seem to win. Number 7, pubs. In many societies, people socialise around food. In the UK, we do it around alcohol, and it usually takes place in a pub. This is where Brits meet after work, for dates, for someone's birthday, to celebrate or commiserate, or simply to get away from the cold for a few hours. Now, if you come to the UK, you've got to visit them, but there are a few rules that you need to follow. For example, the invisible queue that I mentioned earlier. Now, they serve drinks at the bar, but there's no formal line. So, you simply have to stand there and have a look, check to see who's in front of you, and then wait your turn. Now remember, there's nothing worse than a queue jumper. Now there are lots of other bits of pub etiquette that you should know that I've shared in my book, A Really British Guide to English, along with hundreds of other cultural tips. If you'd like a copy, the link is in the description below. Now whilst we're on pubs, let's do number 9, pub quizzes. Brits love a pub quiz night. There are evenings where a pub will organise a formal quiz, usually general knowledge, for customers. And they offer prizes, and it's a lot of fun. Now, they can be informal affairs, or they can be taken very, very seriously. Depends on the pub. People gather in teams. They choose witty team names like I'm Smartacus or Agatha Christie. Yeah, and compete for glory. So if you're in the UK, go to your local pub, ask the owners if they have a pub quiz, get a little team together and have some fun. Number 10, saying sorry all the time. Okay, yeah, this is a thing. Brits love to say sorry at every possible occasion they can, especially if there's no reason to apologise. So let's say someone bumps into you, you say sorry. If someone stands on the wrong side of the escalator, you say sorry. If someone's coming in the door and you're trying to exit, you say sorry. Now, I don't know why, I think we're genetically designed to apologise at least 5 times a day. I love this one, cheering when someone smashes a glass in a pub. Honestly, there are few sounds more British than the celebratory "Wahey" just after someone's dropped a glass in a pub or a bar. There's this sort of childlike glee in the idiocy or clumsiness of someone else that brings Brits so much joy. It's not meant to be mean, it's just a moment of comedy that we can all share together. So next time you're in a pub and someone smashes a glass, give it a bit of a "Wahey! Wahey!" When it comes to the big British institutions like the monarchy or the BBC, opinions are often divided here. However, I'd say generally speaking, Brits still have a lot of warmth and affection for the BBC. For so many of us, it's been the source of news and entertainment since we were children. And I think it's always been synonymous with quality and impartiality. Now, I know that you could debate this, right? And the BBC has its flaws, like any institution, but it still has a place in the hearts of many Brits. Top shows like Match of the Day, EastEnders, and Strictly Come Dancing still get millions of viewers, and I personally can't imagine a Britain without the BBC. Number 13, a cup of tea. We bloody love tea, and there is this belief that it can solve everything. There's never a time when you shouldn't have a cup of tea. Get a promotion, have a cup of tea. Get fired, have a cup of tea. Your football team loses in the last minute, have a cup of tea. In the south of England, we say cuppa, and in the north, they say a brew. You add milk, sugar if you want it, and maybe a cheeky biscuit to dunk in your drink, perfection. Number 14, banter. What is banter? Well, it's playful, humorous conversation between people. It can often be teasing and joking, but it shouldn't really be mean or malicious. Brits live for banter. It's a very bonding thing. We banter about football, bad clothes, silly haircuts, someone's bad taste in music, anything and everything. Number 15, saying all right and not wanting a response. Spend a few days in the UK and you'll pick this up immediately. Brits love using all right as a greeting, but they aren't looking for an actual answer. So don't reply, yes, I'm fine, thank you, and you? We don't want that. All you have to do is deliver a very casual, all right, or a hi if you really want. That's it. The perfect British conversation. Number 16, fish and chips, or any Friday night takeaway. All the rumours are true. We do love fish and chips. I know, more beige food, but it tastes particularly good if you have it by the seaside. Now, for many British families, a trip to the chippy on a Friday night is a weekly pilgrimage. Now, there are regional variations about what to have with your fish and chips. In the north, they like mushy peas, gravy, curry sauce. And in the south, it's more like salt and vinegar, maybe some ketchup, mayonnaise, that kind of thing. And in Scotland, they love to throw a bit of haggis or a Mars bar into a deep fat fryer. Just for lols, yeah? Just fry anything, yeah? Now, if you aren't into fish and chips, don't worry, that's all right. Because Brits have this tradition of a Friday night takeaway, and the big popular ones are Chinese and Indian. And if you go to any town or village, frankly, you can get both. Number 17, saying it's coming home before every football tournament. Okay, this one hurts a little bit because this is another football-related point that only really pertains to England. But every time there is a major international tournament, everyone starts saying, it's coming home. Coming home, isn't it? Now, this is a reference to a song lyric from a 1996 anthem, Three Lions, in which the singers claim that football is coming home. And we have this sort of optimism and belief that each year, each tournament, it is coming home. We've been singing this for 20 years, 30 years, 30 years. Still waiting. Number 18, discussing the route to or from somewhere. Now, to be honest, this is probably an older man kind of thing, but my goodness, do Brits love discussing how they're going to get somewhere or how they got somewhere. You know, for example, like what route did you take? Or did you take the M1 or the M6? Which junction did you get off at? Did you avoid the congestion charge? How was the ring road at this time of day? There's a diversion for all southbound traffic. Oh God. Why? Oh my God. It seems to bring Brits endless joy, and I can't fathom it. I don't understand it. Maybe because I haven't got a car, but yeah, we love talking about traffic and routes. Madness. Number 19, neo-colonial taking over of places in foreign lands. Now, in these post-colonial times, I've noticed that certain groups of Brits still seem obsessed with claiming territory abroad. Now, there are two great examples of this. One is when football fans travel to European cities with their team and they set up camp in the town centre, in the square. And they'll put up their flags and their banners and they'll sort of take over the bars and cafes, essentially annexing the square as if it's like their territory for the day. The second example is on holiday. Take like sort of previously sleepy and unsuspecting Spanish or Greek seaside towns, and then Brits go there. I'm talking about places like Costa del Sol, Ayia Napa, Cavos, etc. Now, Brits go there and completely overrun the place. All the cafes serve British food, all the bars have British TV shows. The town basically feels like Croydon on the Mediterranean. Personally, I'm not a fan. Number 20, your mum's Sunday roast. Now, we've discussed that we're not a nation of gourmets, but we do love a good Sunday roast. And in particular, our mums, or our dads, or grands, or your family's Sunday roast, right? Because it's the one that you're used to. Now, a home-cooked Sunday roast, it just hits different to a pub version. It's the one you've grown up with, right? It's always going to be the best. Now, Sunday roasts consist of a roast meat like chicken, beef, lamb, or of course vegetarian options. You've got roast potatoes, vegetables, you've got gravy, various other condiments. Personally, I love a Yorkshire pudding. They're pretty good, I've got to say, guys. So when you come to the UK, trying a Sunday roast is definitely a must. You've got to do it. And if you can get an invite to someone and have a roast in their home, even better. Number 21, not making a fuss or being a bother. This is one area of life that I think we're different to the Americans. So an American will tell you if they aren't happy with something, right? Whereas Brits, we tend to keep quiet. We suffer in silence. Now, don't get me wrong. I think the American way probably makes more sense, but it's just not in our nature. We don't want to sort of make a song and dance about something. So, for example, if someone is sitting in your allotted seat on a train, a lot of Brits will just sort of shrug their shoulders and find another seat rather than confront the person. Now, that's not a rule, but I've done it and I've seen people do it. I guess we're just terrified of making a fuss. We don't want to be that person, that causes trouble or inconvenience for others. All right, let's finish with one last observation. Brits love an underdog story. Maybe it's because we're a small nation, so we have this sort of feeling of kinship, but it's definitely something deep in our psyche. One of the great British underdog stories was Eddie the Eagle. Now, he was an absolutely hopeless ski jumper in the 1988 Winter Olympics. He came last. The guy was rubbish, but the country became obsessed with him. They even made a film about the geezer. Guys, can you add any more to the list? Have I forgotten any? Share your ideas in the comments below. And don't forget to get your copy of my book, A Really British Guide to English. And of course, all those free resources to help you learn English. This is Teacher Tom saying goodbye.